Yeah, hi devs, welcome back to the channel Only Code, and today I am going to share you a story which happened to me recently while working on a client project. And trust me, it is frustrating if you don't know this JavaScript concept and how they align with React diffing algorithm. So let's start. So before dipping deep down to the story itself, first let's know what is actually diffing algorithm and why it is made, of course, right? So see, diffing algorithm is basically the algorithm that checks for the change in any state, and if it is, then update the UI, right? So this will be friendly for the developers who work in JavaScript or and React. Okay, in React actually. So React internally, whenever see we use state, of course, and we maintain different kind of states with that use state we declare, right? What happens whenever we push something using the set state in asking from the use state, the algorithm checks if there is any difference with the new value we provided and the current value it is available in the state. If it is, the difference will be there, then only React is going to update the UI. Okay, cool. So now let's start with the issue I faced. Okay, so it was directly related to the React diffing algorithm and JavaScript's shallow copy behavior. Now what is shallow copy behavior? I will it tell you about this thing in shorter way, means in just let me first say, and I'm not getting the correct word, right? So shallow copy, well, this is basically not copying the value itself, but giving the reference, okay, or pointing the reference of that value in new value. Okay, so what does shallow copy means and how when does this happen? So whenever you want to copy a value, suppose an object you have declared earlier in a variable 1, and you have to copy that object in variable 2, then you can do variable 2 is equals to variable 1, right? Well, when you do this, simply variable 2 will consist of the address of the value in variable 1, rather making a new object for that. Okay, so this is shallow copy, and if you want to know more about this, then I have a good video where I have uh, means explained what is shallow copy and deep copy, what's the difference between in that, why it exists in JavaScript, and how it actually these concepts optimize things under the hood. Okay, so go and check out that video. Now let's know what is when does shallow copy behaves, means when JavaScript, whenever we do copying of an value inside a variable from another variable, when shallow copy comes into the act. This only happens under the hood whenever we try to copy a non-primitive data type. So what are non-primitive data types? Non-primitive data types are basically your object, arrays, maps, etc. Okay, these are non-primitive data types. Okay, this is the setup, basic setup. Now you know what is diffing algorithm, what is shallow copy, and what is non-primitive data. Now we can go deep into the story. Okay, so here is the setup itself. Suppose I have a dashboard, okay, and that dashboard is a website itself, of course. So this is a dashboard, and I have something called this is a dashboard website application. Okay, yeah, this dashboard would consist of a sidebar there. Okay, so this is a sidebar. Let me name it as sidebar, and this sidebar would consist of different options, right? So different options will be marked as this, right? So these are the different options. Okay, let me copy this and then again paste. Okay, in a paste. Okay, and so this is again an option. Okay, think, yeah. Okay, and again an option. So let's give here four options. Okay, in this sidebar, and whenever you will be clicking in one of the options, you would ultimately be redirected to a page, right? So why this sidebar options are? Because to give to redirect you different pages. Okay, so these options are basically the pages you can visit in the dashboard. Pretty simple. Okay, now this is the setup I have to achieve, right? but but how will I achieve this? I have to write some code. I have to make things optimized. So what I thought, that let's make an object. Okay, so my thinking was, let's make an object, bigger object, or this can be an object of array, sorry array of objects. Okay, and these objects are itself the option. Okay, so these different options are the object here. Okay, cool. Now we will map, or we will simply use or get store this array of objects in a react context, and we'll name it as primary menu. We thought of this. Okay, we thought like we have an array of object, we will make that and will store in primary menu in use context API react context, so that we can call that primary menu anywhere from the provider, and will will build the sidebar itself. So far so good, right? But here comes the twist. In a real business project, things are never this simple. Before showing this sidebar, before showing this sidebar, we have to filter the menu based on permissions from the backend, right? So you got this scenery, right? So this options itself are some kind of pages in the dashboard, or you can take it as modules, not a simple page. It's a wholesome module or the business flow, right? And it is not a simple dashboard, it's a business based dashboard, so don't take it lightly. So this permission thing is very important. So client asked that let's store permissions on the backend, and will and the front end will fetch the permissions in the front from the backend itself with an API call, and will filter this out. Okay, so for now it is cool. It is actually looking cool that yes, front end will do an API hit, backend will give all the permissions a user has, and the sidebar will be built. Okay, but how we will do in code level, at code level in front end? So what I have thought last time, means at the earlier days, that from front end we will do an API call. Okay, this will get permissions to me. Okay, and it will store that permission in a store which is not persistent, okay. This is a store not persistent. And then what I'm going to do is, while building the application, means while the application will be mounted, I will call a use effect. Okay, so I will have a use effect, and this use effect will do the filtration part. Okay, and after showing all the filtrations, if the modules or the permissions I have, or the particular user will have, then he or she will get the side options in the sidebar, and if you don't have, then he will not get the options in sidebar. So this means the use effect will filter out all the modules in the sidebar and then build it. Okay, then build it with the options remaining after filtration. So far good. But here is the problem. Since I was directly, so if you know that I have something called primary menu, right? As I have shared this with you, I have something called primary menu, which is array of objects. This primary menu is itself is nested objects. Okay, no, sorry, array of objects where objects can again have nested objects. Okay, got it? Cool. Now, as at that moment I was a fresher, what I've been doing is, I always ask this primary menu. Okay, I always ask this primary menu, which would ultimately consist of some address. Let's give some address to it. Okay, in the computer. So suppose this is an address, and which will consist of an address. So think like this: whenever you will call this primary menu from use context, you would only get and will. So you have called this primary menu with use context in a variable, so that variable itself will not going to copy the primary menu, as it is quite big, and I have told you that we do that under the hood JavaScript or React will do shallow copy rather than doing deep copy. So that variable will not get the primary menu itself, but it will get the address of that very primary menu. Hence, whenever I will be doing anything, or the filtration will be done, if will be done in the primary menu, then the filtration will not be done in separate menu but in the same menu itself. Okay, for now it is cool. Yeah, it is cool, it is cool. You got the point. And I, as a fresher, didn't know this, that this actually happens under the hood. React's diffing algorithm, what does React diffing algorithm actually do is, whenever the algorithm got the change, okay, whenever they got the change, it will update the UI. Okay, it will update the UI. But React diffing algorithm is also dependent for the non-primitive data types which are actually nested by itself, is also dependent on the address of the variable. Okay, so React's diffing algorithm never checks for each value of that object. So what React's diffing algorithm was doing is, they never checked for each variable, for sorry, each value inside that object, that it is filtered out or not, or it is changed or not, but rather React diffing algorithm will check, is the address for the new for the new object I got, and for the new, or for the older object he had in that state, is different or not. If no, then diffing algorithm will get no change, and hence the React is not going to update the UI of sidebar. So the problems I was facing is, whenever I was, so this is funny. What I was doing is, in the use effect, this was the variable. I was thinking that this variable is a new variable containing the primary menu, and I was filtering the same menu. Okay, and then sending it to use state, sorry, yeah, context, sending it to context, no, state, yeah, sending it to context set state, which was already having the sidebar menu earlier. Okay, cool. So this was the perspective I didn't know, and hence I was in the cycle that why my UI is not updating, why the filtration is not happening, what is the flaw. Yeah, it was quite frustrating, but now you know why these things happen. So what's the basic solution for this? The basic solution would be, never mutate the original array. This means, rather doing of the shallow copy, you should do the deep copy. Now you will say that if equals to won't work, then what I will do with, how can I do the deep copy? For that we have npm package called lodash. It will help you for doing the deep copy. Okay, and it is quite optimized. So yeah, lodash. Plus I can't remember, but JavaScript has some uh, built-in function that will again structured clone, maybe structured clone, something like this, that will again help you to do the deep copy. Okay, and when you do the deep copy, this means that this variable would not contain the address of the primary menu, where the primary menu is stored in your system, but it will make a new primary menu, it will make a new menu that would contain the exact same value as of primary menu, and hence the deep copy, the mutation will work properly. Right, earlier the mutation was happening in the same menu, but by doing the deep copy, the mutation will happen in the new menu, and by supplying that new menu, you can filter out and update the state of UI smoothly. Right. Okay, so this was the basic story that was quite hectic for me. This means this problem was quite hectic for me, as I was new, and uh, what to say, this bug I found because my logic was clear. I didn't know about shallow copy, deep copy, how diffing algorithm aligns with that. So I got this bug just before the demo with client, and believe me, it was quite hectic to solve this. my senior helped me. But as I have told you, you already know this thing. Keep in mind, and yeah, happy code, be a good coder. And one more thing, I was thinking about that I can share you different kinds of architectures and algorithms that would help you to or will get to be a better coder for the web applications or how the application will made the different kind of architecture. If you want that videos, the series of videos of different problems, solutions, different architectures, then please comment down and yeah, subscribe to my channel. We will meet in next video. Thank you. Bye bye.